Tēnā koutou katoa, and look, thank you. It's actually a terrific turnout. Thank you very much indeed for being here. My name's Simon Moore, and I am the chair of the Electoral Commission board. And with me from the Commission is Carla Kane, who is our Chief Electoral Officer and the CEO of the Electoral Commission, and Hone Matthews, Chief Advisor Māori. So the purpose of today is really to give you something of an overview and an insight into where we are and how we're tracking towards this year's election. So what I'm going to be doing is giving you effectively a pretty high level analysis, and then Hone and Carl can deal with some of the detail. After that, we'll be open to questions. I think the first thing that I really wanted to say is I haven't been in this job for particularly long, just a little over a year, but one of the things that has struck me from a pretty early stage is how incredibly complex a general election is. I just had no idea, and I think very few people have an idea about how many moving parts there are in this whole business. And in fact, an Australian colleague quite recently said to me, or described as the largest strategic mobilisation that a country can have in peacetime. So just to give you some idea of the complexities, give you some idea of what it is that we're dealing with. We have to recruit something between 25 and 28,000 people. We need to recruit them, we need to identify them, we need to train them, we need to send them out. They'll be operating the voting places and helping with the counting after election day. We'll have something like 2,500 voting places, 800 during the advanced voting stage. If you think about it, every one of those places has to be identified, it has to be found to be appropriate. It needs to be in a place where people feel comfortable moving in and out of. And we need to secure short-term leases for every single one of them. We print something like 9 million voting documents, papers, for a voting population of around about 4 million. And those 9 million can't be printed until we receive the nominations. So you can see what a compressed period this all is. And so, standing here in my role as chair of the Electoral Commission, I suppose if there's one single overriding message I would be so grateful for you to convey to your audience is enroll before the 4th of October. Because if you enroll before the 4th of October, you'll get an easy vote card, which means that you'll be in and out of the voting booth in just a few minutes, and you won't have to go through the complexity of making a special vote. And from our perspective, special votes take about 10 times longer than an ordinary vote does to count. And that means that it allows us to go through that whole counting process in a much easier and more straightforward way. So that's really all I wanted to say at this point at the high level, and I'll hand over to Hone. Hone?
Morena tātama, tēnā koe taku rangatire haumana, tukuna mai tēnei wahanga mai kia. Tēnā koutou katoa. The first enrolment milestone this year is for Māori voters. From Monday, we'll be sending out over 500,000 packs actually 562,000 packs in the mail to voters who have told us that they are Māori. There will be a letter in the pack. It will tell you which roll you're on, whether you're on the Māori roll or on the general roll. In an election year, you can't change the roll in 3 months before an election. So if you're a Māori and you want to change the roll that you're on presently, you need to do it before midnight, 6th of August. The pack goes to people who are enrolled. You won't get a pack if you're not enrolled or if you've moved and not updated your details. So there will be advertising and community engagement to reach these people who need to enrol or update their details. Kei a tātou te mana, our choice is mana. It decides the electorate for this year's election. If you're a Māori and want to vote in the Māori electorate, you need to enrol. If you are on the general roll, you will vote in the general electorate. It doesn't affect your party vote. You choose from the same list of parties, whichever role you're on. I'd like to now hand over to Carl, our hamu kapua, to talk more about the other milestones. Kia ora.
Kia ora hone. Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi mahana ki a koutou. So the Māori Electoral Option is just the first step in what we'll be doing around enrolment, and we're doing a heck of a lot of activity around enrolment this year. So about August, our general enrolment campaign will kick off, and again we'll be writing to everyone who's enrolled saying please check your details and update them. Want to underline that a message again, we need people to be enrolled by the 4th of October. We'll be doing a heck of a lot of advertising, using a whole range of channels. We'll have our people out in communities, face-to-face information and education. But we're going to be doing a few different things this time round. Starting from next month, we're going to have some mobile enrolment pop-ups in rural and regional areas. And we'll be focusing on those areas where there's low rates of enrolment. And that's just to provide that opportunity for people to get enrolled. Then in September, as we're a bit closer to the election, we're going to establish 10 enrolment hubs in urban and metropolitan areas, again focusing on areas where there's low enrolment rates to provide that opportunity for people to get enrolled or to update their details. And we'll focus on areas where we know there'll be a lot of people, could be a shopping mall for example. We're also going to be doing a lot of work with the young people, so working with schools, tertiary institutions, other venues where we know there's young people to try and get that enrolment rate for young people up. That's going to be really, really important. So again, you can help us with that message, get enrolled, update your details by 4th of October. That means it'll go much quicker for you in the voting place and there'll be fewer special votes. That's a really important part of this. We're also going to be launching next month a community fund for community groups who want to help us get the enrolment rate up by running enrolment projects in their communities. We'll be putting some more information out about that, but that's to help us get across all the communities where there's lower enrolment rates. So these are all new things we're doing this time around to get the enrolment rate up as high as we can. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about modernising election services. This is something we've always been working away at. The way people from overseas can vote is the envy of electoral commissions across the world. We have a really high rate of people updating their enrolments online. A lot of countries would like to get to the same level as us, but we have more to do. So over the last 12 to 18 months, we've been asking people to give us their email addresses, their mobile numbers, so we can contact them through that avenue. And so for the first time this election, we'll be sending out reminders at scale with emails and text messages about enrolment and key dates coming up. It might sound quite simple, but it's a big exercise to be sending a couple of million emails out and to get those to those people. So that's a really important step that we'll be taking. Also, for the first time, we'll be delivering easy vote cards by email if we have your email address. If we don't, it'll still go out in the postal service. We'll be providing more information for people about that, but that's quite a big change that we'll be doing. Then also this year, we're going to be starting data matching with some other government agencies to try and identify people whose address doesn't match what we have, so we can then contact them again by email or mobile number or a letter to ask them to update their details. So they're just some of the few steps we'll be taking this election, but as Simon said, this will be over a number of cycles. We're doing a lot of work to look at some other innovations that will make enrolment and voting go quicker and smoother. I want to talk a little bit about people's enrolment experience. You might recall last year, before the local body elections, there were concerns raised about people not being on the roll or being put on the roll, either the Māori roll or the general roll, without their agreement. That is not the case. We think there were a couple of things going on. Firstly, when we did the enrolment campaign for the local body elections, we sent a letter to everyone who was enrolled. We get a lot of those sent back to us saying the person doesn't live there anymore. So what we have to do is try and contact them another way, which is one of the reasons we've been asking people to give us their email or their mobile number, and we were doing that last year to contact them. If we don't hear from them, we have to put them on the dormant roll. And it doesn't mean you're not enrolled, it just means we don't have your address. And if you do update your address, it's a really quick, simple procedure to go from the dormant roll onto your main roll. The second thing that we thought was happening was people were going to vote.nz to check the online enrolment checker, and if you don't put your name in exactly as it's recorded for your enrolment, it won't return a record. Now that's to protect people's privacy and security, and we know that that's really important. The other question we had was concern that we were taking people off the Māori roll, putting them on the general roll, or vice versa. That is not the case. We will not do that unless people tell us to do that. If anyone has any questions or any concerns, just contact us on our free 0800 number and we will clarify your enrolment status for you. So finally, I want to talk about our kids voting program. Now this is a fantastic program that we've been running for 15 years that give children in New Zealand schools the opportunity to learn about our electoral system and take part in mock voting. We opened registrations for this program last week. We've had 220 schools sign up already. We've got about 41,000 students already who will get the opportunity to take part in this program. And this is really about civics education. It's free for schools. We provide all the resources, and it's a great way for children and young people to learn about the electoral system, learn about voting, and establish that habit of being enrolled, keeping it up to date, and voting in our general elections. So that's a great program, and we'll be providing more information about that.